Hey, welcome back to the preview show. This one will be a slightly different one. It's not going to be solely golf related. I'll touch on the golf events at the back end of the vlog, but I really wanted to kind of talk around what for me is my favourite weekend of the year. That is Six Nations rugby starting and the Super Bowl weekend. I absolutely love the first weekend in February, have done for years. Six Nations, I grew up watching Six Nations, absolutely loving it. And it's still now the one sport that I could just get up for every single time whenever the Six Nations start. Everything stops. The wife and the daughter appreciate the fact that it's basically they have to move out for 6 weeks because I'm just going to be stuck in front of the TV watching that. I just love the tribalism of it. I think it's not always perhaps the best rugby, but there's always some great storylines in there. You see young players emerging. It's just always some great games. So I really do enjoy that. So we're going to preview what I think might happen in the Six Nations, some players to look out for, who I think will end up winning and so on. And I'm also going to touch on the Super Bowl. I'm also a massive NFL fan. Have been for a few years now. So I'm going to kind of give you my picks on who I think will win, players to look out for on Sunday night, and then I'll quickly touch on what's going on in Malaysia in the Maybank Championship and over in Phoenix, what's happening out there as well, the Waste Management Open. So starting Six Nations, as I touched on, great tournament, such tribalism. I know perhaps a lot of people will think, oh, they don't actually always play the most attractive rugby, although I think that's changed over recent years. I think we are seeing more attacking rugby with improvement in the pitches and so on and so forth, and actually skill of the game in the Northern Hemisphere is coming up. And actually, I think if you look at the world rankings as well, that's reflected in England and Ireland being up there. I think it's you kind of got New Zealand, England, and then Ireland, and then Australia underneath. So I think the quality of the rugby is definitely there, and all the teams have something about them, with the exception of, I think, Italy. I think no spoilers here, Italy are going to come last. They're getting closer, but they're still too far away. They just don't have the pool of talent or the club structure to really compete with the other nations. In terms of how I think it'll pan out, I think it's a two-horse race. I think it's between England and Ireland. I think the two big matches to look out for are both include Ireland, and that's their first and last weekends. So this weekend they open up against France in Paris, and then they finish the tournament playing England in Twickenham. Now, by virtue of that, I am very slightly favouring England to win. I think if either of those two matches, if both those matches were home fixtures, whichever will be next year, I would tip Ireland to win. I think Ireland has the best, most complete team and the fewest key injuries at this stage. I think they've got some great emerging talent coming through. I don't necessarily expect them to lose this weekend in France, but the thing is with the French, you just never really know which team's going to turn up. So I sort of hesitate a little bit to say Ireland, and which is why, again, I'm just sort of leaning towards England. I think under Eddie Jones, they've just proven they know how to win and they know how to grind matches out. Although having said that, they lost to Ireland in Ireland last year. But hey, I just fancy England have got their toughest matches at home, and I just fancy them. Twickenham's a bit of a fortress for them again. So I'm going to go in terms of my expectation. I think England, Ireland, very close. Now I think there's a little bit of a gap, but I expect Scotland to come third. I expect them to build upon the great autumn that they had. They obviously demolished the Australians, albeit Australians did have somebody sent off relatively early on, but they still demolished them, and that was very impressive. And I think they've, under Gregor Townsend, they've got some great talent that they've been nurturing over a couple of years. And then after that, I think you can flip France or Wales, depending on which one of those countries turns up in the match that they play against each other. I think they're very, very close. They're quite similar in that over recent years they've played relatively boring rugby, but they've got some unbelievable talent. And when all that talent's on the pitch, they just play some mind-blowing rugby at times. I'm going to go Wales. I'll go Wales 4, France 5, and then Italy 6. Some key players to look out for. I'm going to give you the obvious ones first and foremost. George Ford for England. When he and Owen Farrell are clicking at 10 and 12, we look awesome. So George Ford is the linchpin. He's the one who gets England moving forward. He gets a great attacking ball, which then leaves the wingers, Watson, May, Now, Noel, Jonathan Joseph, etc. It gives them the opportunity. Johnny Sexton for Ireland. Ireland's got some great young talent coming through, some unbelievable talent coming through, but the guy to kind of pull the strings is Johnny Sexton. Can he stay healthy? He's a great player, awesome player. I really think he's one of the key ones. And then the other one to really look out for that I just love watching him play. I think he scores some unbelievable tries. He always looks threatening. And that's Stuart Hogg for Scotland. One of my favourite players in World Rugby to watch. There's just something about every time he gets the ball, you think he's going to do something. So I think those are kind of my three players in particular to watch. I think what's always exciting about Six Nations is that we always start to see young players coming through. And I think this year it's kind of, there's 4 or 5 names that really come out. And I'll give you a couple of English names, only because I know the Premiership a little bit better than some of the other leagues. So Sam Simmons, who will play this weekend, Exeter number 8, just great on the ball, great in the loose, ball playing number 8, big lad, runs ridiculously fast, scored a couple of great tries. I think he scored one against the Falcons earlier in the season. Newcastle Falcons, a fabulous try. You can find that somewhere on YouTube. And the other number 8 that's worth looking out with, and would have played instead of Sam this weekend against Italy if it wasn't for, I think he's got illness, and that's Zach Mercer from Bath. He's just played better and better all season. He's been getting rave reviews. Again, these guys are like 20, 23 years old, so some great young talent there. And then I touched on the Irish talent, and it's all coming from Leinster. So you've got Jacob Stockdale, who's a winger, who's playing this weekend against France. And he's scored 4 tries in 4 appearances already. And somebody who's pushing him really close is another lad by Jordan Lama. Again, he's another youngster. He just seems like he's just got that classic Leinster back. He's just going to score tries, isn't he? So I'm really looking forward to seeing how those guys pan out. And I think the wild card of them all, and this will make or break France, I think, there's a guy called Mathieu Jalibert, who's the latest French fly half. The French haven't really had a decent fly half for ages. They sort of keep flitting and flowing between others. This kid looks unbelievable. Plays for Bordeaux Bègles. He's burst on the scene this season. His old coach has just become the new French coach. So he's drafted him straight in. Now, I think going forward, attacking wise, he looks amazing. My only concern with him is he looks really small. So I think if I was playing against him, just get a massive number 12 running straight at him. Get your biggest ball carrier from a defensive point running straight at him. So it'd be quite interesting to see defensively whether he can hold up. But he is your classic mercurial French talent coming through. So Six Nations. So matches this weekend: Wales, Scotland, France, Ireland, Italy, England. I'm going to go 3 away wins. I think Scotland will do Wales. I think Ireland will do France. And I think England will smash Italy and get a bonus point. So there you go. That's my preview for the Six Nations this weekend. 3 away wins. Super Bowl. New England Patriots representing the AFC for the 8th time in 16 years. And the 3rd time in 3 years. They're going for their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. And they're playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. So both number 1 seeds in either conference. If you were looking at the team sheets, the Eagles are better literally in every single department. Better defensive line, defensive ends. Yeah, defensive line, linebackers, you probably go Eagles. Defensive backs, probably 50-50. On the offensive side, offensive line, definitely the Eagles. Quarterback, I mean, that's a no-brainer, it's Tom Brady. Tight ends, okay, you go Gronkowski over Ertz, but Ertz is great. And then wide receivers, you probably go Philadelphia Eagles. The overall talent of the Eagles is definitely better than the overall talent of the Patriots. I think you'll find anybody who argue with that. The difference being is this: the Patriots have Brady and the Patriots have Belichick coaching them. Greatest coach of all time, greatest quarterback, greatest player probably of all time. I genuinely, and I won't lie, I'm a Pats fan. Have been since the 90s. What I saw Bledsoe versus Favre in the 96 Super Bowl, which the Patriots lost. So I've been a Pats fan forever. I can't bet against Brady. although I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won because they are a better team. But I think Brady's so good, and when they get down, you just fancy them to win. A couple of players to really look out for. If the Eagles do win, I think you should expect kind of a big game out of somebody like Corey Clement, who's kind of like their second, third choice running back, but he's their passing back. He's just, whenever the Eagles have had a big game, he plays well in big moments this season, has done for them this season. I mean, he's a bit of a mismatch for them. So I think if they're going to do well, I expect him and the other person who's got to have a good game, or two people, obviously Nick Foles, their quarterback, their backup quarterback, and Zach Ertz, the tight end. I think if those three have a good game, that's what's going to do it for the Eagles. And from a New England perspective, I mean, obviously Brady will be Brady. I think on the defensive side, you've got to look out for Trey Flowers. I think if Trey Flowers gets some pressure on Foles, can move him around, put him under a lot of pressure, get him to make mistakes, I think we're in for an interesting game. I think it will be very tight. I do expect the Patriots to win out. I'm predicting 28-24 Patriots. But I don't think there's going to be a big comeback this time. I think they might lead from the front, or it'll just be a very tight game throughout. But I think it'll be an awesome game. Eagles have been great all season. As I say, I wouldn't be surprised if they do win, but I'm just backing Brady and the Patriots. Just a legend, isn't he? Just a legend. And then moving on to golf. So Maybank Championship on the European Tour. We're already 2 rounds in. Lee Westwood's just shot 10 under today. He's 1 shot back from Pachara Kongwat Mai or Kongmat Mai. One of those two. This Pachara Kongwat Mai is unbelievable. He's 18 years old, burst on the scene last year at the Super Sixes in Australia. He was runner-up to Brett Rumford. Great talent. He just knows how to score. He'll be exciting to watch this weekend. I hope he has a really good weekend. I'm going for one of my ones to watch this year, Dylan Fratelli. He's lurking a couple of shots behind. He's 9 under. I think he's starting to show and turn up every single week. He turned up in Dubai and Abu Dhabi as well. Did very well in those 2 events. And the other name to look out for is 4 shots back is Alexandre Levy, the French guy. He is on a mission to get in the Ryder Cup this year. He's the only Frenchman probably likely to get anywhere near the Ryder Cup team. He started off the season so well, finished really strongly in Abu Dhabi. He knows how to play at the weekend. He's starting to put that consistency together with the crazy talent that he's got. So look at Fratelli and Levy to really sort of come alive this weekend, and I expect them to be challenging or thereabouts, just given how good they're doing through 2 rounds. And in the Phoenix, the Waste Management Open, I think just everything viral about that was about that bloke, the streaker on the 16th hole, running around, falling over naked everywhere. Find it on Twitter, you'll find it everywhere. But Ricky Fowler, good old Ricky, who's missed the cut Torrey Pines for I think the 3rd straight year last year, and everyone's going, oh, what's wrong with Ricky? It's the first cut he's missed in years. He's finished in the top 10. I heard some ridiculous stat, like 11 out of the last 15 tournaments he's been in. The guy's consistent. He's there. He's a couple of shots back at 5 under through round 1. He loves the Waste Management Open. He's got a great track record there. I expect him to be there or thereabouts come Sunday. A couple of names to look out for, and these are a few further shots back, and obviously depends on how they do today. But again, another one of my ones to watch who's got a good track record at Phoenix, and that's Ollie Schneiderjans. So I expect him to do all right. And the other guy who's kind of made a defected. He's gone to the PGA Tour, having been on the European Tour for a few years. And that's Peter Uihlein. Again, like Ollie, he's 3 under. He's done quite well in his first couple of PGA Tour events since sort of being a full-time member of the European Tour over the last 3 or 4 years, and done very well on the European Tour. And I just expect him to become more and more comfortable with the PGA Tour and to be showing up more and more regularly. So yeah, I like Uihlein and I like Schneiderjans. I'll put their names here because they're a mouthful to do all right. But I think it's probably Ricky's tournament to win, just given the good start he's had. So look, I appreciate it's a bit of a longer preview than normal. Apologies for that, but can't be helped with some great tournaments, both on the golfing perspective. But as I said, best tournament in sport, in World Rugby, annual tournament in sport, and that is the Six Nations. Cannot wait, and obviously the Super Bowl. I shall be staying up very late on Sunday to be watching that. Enjoy your sporting weekend, have a great time. I hope you make some money in the meantime, and I'll catch up with you next week. Cheers.